You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who deep in thought nearly trip over pixies delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstien.
Hello everyone, happy Friday! Welcome to another episode of Adventures in Castle Falkenstein. I am Simon, Wandering DM. Tonight I'll be playing Oberon, the Gentleman Wizard. Let's just go around the table, we'll introduce ourselves, but before we do that, know that down there under the video you have a table of everything that you can do with donations if you wish to change, alter the course of the story, make things harder or easier for any one of us or all of us. You can help the show by donating. All of the donations go to producing the show and making sure that we can keep doing this. So without further ado, let's go around the table. I think we'll do like a circle. So I'll start with our newest player who wasn't there last week, who's just arrived to the mansion. Kenny, hi, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me. And you want me to introduce my character or later?
Yourself and your character a bit. Yep.
Cool. Yep. I'm Kenny. My pronouns are they, them. And I am playing Jasser Firtrogosian, an actor.
All right, and moving to the left of Jasser is returning the Contessa. Deirdre, hi, welcome.
Hello all, you know me. I'm at Deirdre Donlan on Twitter, and tonight it is the return of the Contessa Lucrezia Sofia Fioravanti. And all of the wonderful things that will happen tonight. I'm so intrigued.
And right above the Contessa, returning as well today, her companion in crime, maybe?
Investigation.
Yeah. Companion in investigation. It sounds more like it. PB, hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm PB from PB Plays Inside, and today I'm playing Isolina Atenas Montiel.
And last but not least is our illustrious host for the evening. Chris, I'll leave the mic up to you. Hi and welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you all for watching. I have a wonderful cast here with us. And so we're going to start with a recap. So last week on Adventures in Castle Falkenstien, the party of Marcos de Salinas was in full bloom as spring was upon the region of Barcelona. All manner of noble and merchant were attending this exclusive event. It was, after all, invitation only. We witnessed the arrivals of Master Oberon Winters, Senorita Isolina Montiel, and the Contessa Lucrecia Sofia Fioravanti. The social intrigue was high as the cast worked the room to learn all the players in this game of high society and secrets. Who was attending? Why did they receive an invitation? What secrets were they hiding? Much was to be discovered, and much is left to be revealed. Shortly after the host made his appearance, he was found dead, poisoned. While Oberon investigated the crime scene, Isolina and the Contessa observed the crowd, noting a few interesting details. Young Santi Ramirez fled out the front door as the screaming of the maid was heard. A woman in a sky blue dress, one Carolina Morones, or so she claims, seemed to disappear from the crowd and reappear from a secret passageway across the room. Further, she is much more than she seems, as her dress, now torn by the feigned clumsiness of the Contessa, conceals what is believed to be a dagger and more. Later, Oberon discovers that sorcery had played a part in Senor de Salinas' demise, and both he and the Contessa find items missing from the study. Isolina, consoling the shaken maid at this time, witnesses the grand entrance of the detectives, led by one Senor Ferdinand Marquez, and his guests, Jasser Firtrogosian. And that, dear friends, is where we shall rejoin our cast as they continue their performance upon New Europa's stage. But before we draw back the curtain and delve into the drama, we will consult the fortune deck, as we do each session. What do the cards have in store for our wonderful players tonight? How about I don't close that window? Alrighty. So we're going to do another 3-card spread, starting with our helping card. What will help our party this evening? It looks like we have the 9 of spades. 9 is the card of a bounty on the horizon. Spades indicating, again, intellect, air. It'll be their wits that will lead them to the prize they seek. What might hinder them? We have one of the divine cards, the path of emotions. They must resist that path and instead rely upon what they can see and what might harm them. Tonight, we have a Jack of Clubs. Clubs are fiery, passionate. So some young newcomer with passion just might lead them astray. Better not let your more carnal urges get in the way this evening. So, I return to the scene. Isolina descending the stairs, consoling the maid. 6 detectives now in the foyer or grand hall. Signor Marquez and his guest, Jasser, entering through the doors. Take us away, Isolina.
I see all the people coming in, and I recognize the uniforms, and I believe that I need to get this maid down and out of the way before they can get her. Mostly for me, not so much for her. And
Okay.
so I descend the stairs, and I'm like, oh, how do I say this? I'm like consoling her and like leading her away if she ever like turns her head to go see the people. I consolingly turn it back. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Do not worry about it. As I usher us towards the I think it was the kitchen I was going to for reason.
Okay, so as you make your way through the crowd and kind of past the detectives that are kind of busy anyway, taking down statements and asking questions of the different party goers, you make your way into what would be the east wing toward where the kitchen is and the dining room where you had Carolina Morones seated prior to heading upstairs earlier in the night. Jasser, from your viewpoint, as you come in, you see this crowd before you. The detectives that were in the cars with you and Senor Marquez prior to your arrival quickly move out into the crowd and start pulling patrons aside one at a time and taking statements. You see next to you Senor Marquez standing tall and as he does when he's trying to show his position. You've seen this before at the different events that you've attended where he's been. What is it that you do?
As soon as there's a natural part in the crowd, Jasser steps forward into kind of the middle of everyone and just pronounces, because no one's there to grab their coat or to, greet them. They say, "J'arrive. I am here. The party is going."
And as you do that, a number of people will turn and look at Jasser. A couple of the faces will recognize them, and they will either nod in recognition or give a polite wave. It seems you do have some former audience members here at the party this evening. No one that you recognize per se, but you definitely feel as though you were received, but they can't really interact as much because they're busy talking to detectives. You'll notice a larger group of them is kind of off towards the west wing. There's a sitting room there where a number of them have congregated and they're talking amongst themselves. They do look your direction as well. And from that group, you will see a number that do also recognize your entrance and you believe recognize you as well. Where would you like to go next?
I think Jasser would be bored of the detectives and probably want to move away from that goings on. I think they would want to immerse themselves in the people who are there at the party. And so being recognized from the west side of the gallery, I think that's where Jasser would head.
Okay. So as you walk into the sitting room, you'll find that it has a number of overstuffed chairs. There's a couple pods of them where they're either pairs or groupings of 4. In the center, there's a grouping of 4 of them, but on the north wall, there's a longer couch with 2 chairs across from it. And you see people in different stages, some seated, some standing. Throughout them, one face that you will recognize is, well, 2 faces actually. It's the couple, Lorenz and Jeanette Farraquin, who are patrons of the arts and have been at a couple of fundraisers. They are French expats who have moved to Barcelona about a generation ago and have been there ever since, primarily from Marseille.
And what was their last name again?
Farraquin.
Farraquin. Monsieur, Madame Farraquin, what is going on?
Jeanette, being the most social of the 2, she'll say, "Oh, Jose, I didn't know that you had made it. It seems our host is," and she leans in and puts a hand up over her mouth and goes, "Dead."
No, it cannot be.
Well, we haven't seen the body, but we also haven't seen him. They're just there were screams and a maid proclaiming that he was dead, and then these detectives started to question us, and no one's been allowed to go upstairs.
Signor Marquez is a good man. I think that everyone will be in good hands. Are there libations? Can we have something to drink?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's still plenty of champagne in the ballroom. And she turns and looks about and sees one of the house servants and very gently moves up to them and asks if it's okay for the guests to still have some food and drink while they're waiting. You do notice a level of tenderness and care to not be presumptuous, as if it's true that Marcos de Salinas is dead, the staff would be in quite a state of grief as well. But one of them does, they just kind of nod and go, yes, mademoiselle.
And I step forward and say, you do not have to serve. Just show me where it is and I will get it.
Okay. And this servant kind of walks you back toward the hall and points toward the large open double doors of the ballroom, and points and says, "In there's champagne and cake."
I hold my hand out and I say, "This must have been a horrible surprise.
Very, very unexpected.
I am so sorry."
Thank you.
And Jasser nods and walks into the room and grabs a bottle of the wine, a full one, and a couple glasses, and goes back into the west gallery, and kind of just states out loud, "Who would like to join me? It seems that there is some need of lightened spirits."
A number of people will turn your way and kind of make eye contact and nod. The mood is still either a little anxious or a little somber, depending on who you're talking to. It's all very sudden and unexpected.
Yeah. So I poured.
Particular that you want to start with?
I think I definitely go back to the Ferraquins and offer a glass or two out and see if they would take. And I'll just have the bottle with me.
Okay. Lorenz will thank you and take a glass. Jeanette will politely decline, saying she's already had enough this evening.
Mm-hmm. And so as we're standing there, how long ago did this happen?
Oh, maybe half an hour, maybe a little more. That he was discovered. We don't know how long he's been dead. Couldn't have been more than an hour. We just saw him not that long ago in the ballroom.
He was in the ballroom. Where if I may ask, if you know, where was he discovered?
I don't know. Somewhere upstairs. Maybe Lorenz kind of butts in and says, it was probably in his study. He seems to have been meeting everyone that he's wanted to have business with this evening in the study.
Very interesting. Indeed. I'm not sure. He does not seem to be a patron of the theater, so I am not sure exactly how I got on their list.
Oh, I'm sure it's because of well, your accolades. I mean, every circle that I've been in has talked about the Lyceum and all of the wonderful performances there, and you're part of that. It must have been connected to that. Who wouldn't want you here?
Oh, you are flattering, I assure you. Merci. But it is interesting. Is there anyone here who may not wish him well?
I wouldn't know about those things. And she turns to Lorenz, who kind of huffs and takes a drink. Says, there is always bad blood in business. You can't make a good deal without ruffling a few feathers.
That is fair, and if we did not have ruffled feathers, we would not have drama.
I see what you did there, and he raises his glass to you.
Cheers. And I think Jessa would look around the room a little bit more and see if they recognize anyone maybe of higher status that they would be familiar with.
The only the highest status here in the room is the two you're speaking with. Outside of that, I can't remember. Does Jose know Isolina's family?
Yes, the Montias.
Yeah, then you likely would have recognized her as you came in, as she descended the stairs, because she wasn't in the main crowd, and you are a fairly perceptive fellow. But she is not readily seen.
Okay. Yeah, I think that perhaps I would have, or I would excuse myself and thank them for the conversation.
Okay.
And move towards a larger grouping of people, maybe back out towards the entryway to see if I could catch an eye of Isolina.
Okay. All right. So as you're doing that, I'm going to pan back over to Isolina as she's headed to the kitchen with the maid.
I'm just consoling. I'm like, oh, it was so horrible. It is so fine. We will get some water in you, and then we will feel so much better, so much better. Come on, let's just keep on going. Let's get you sit down somewhere.
Okay. As you get back to the kitchen, you'll notice there isn't a lot of space to sit down. It's meant to be standing in, but there is a stool near the rear of the kitchen. where you believe they peel the vegetables and things like that they probably would sit on there while doing that sort of task that you could seat her at. And there is a water bucket nearby.
So pretty much as soon as we enter the kitchen, I see the stool, and I'm like, all right, it got it, done. I see the water bucket, done, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm looking around the room as if I'm still looking for those things.
Mm-hmm.
I take an extra second or two to just look around the room because this was the direction. Let's see. Let me look at my beautiful drawing to try and figure out what happened last time. I heard, I heard another set of footsteps going through the servants' quarters / kitchen?
Yes.
And
Yes, that would be one of the things that you heard going that that was odd that direction. You will take note that there are two other forms of egress from the kitchen. One goes downstairs to where you believe the storerooms are, and the other seems to go either goes further east into another pantry or maybe to a back hall that leads out to the grounds at the rear of the building.
Okay, and so as I look around, I'll start leading this poor maid towards the stool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, oh, just sit right here. Let me get you some water. You know, just stay still. Let me get some water. And as I walk around, I try to listen to, I take like the most inconvenient roundabout way to like grab a glass and grab water.
Mm-hmm.
To just sort of hear the ground to make sure there's no difference in tone that would help me figure out in which sort of direction the steps the running went to.
Okay. As you are doing that, you're listening carefully. You don't seem to pick up any more on the footsteps, but out of the corner of your eye, you do spot shadows moving at the back of the building on the grounds.
Behind the thing.
Yeah. Would you like to play a card to see if you can discern more detail?
Let's see. What do I have? Let's see. I tried to find like those little tabby things because I have written down like what my skills are and what like thing it is. I can't for the life of me remember where I put them.
Fair enough.
And now I'm just like a flippy fool trying to remember where all this is. Perception is
diamonds.
I guess I shall play a card just to help my perception.
Okay.
Get it out of my life.
Fair enough.
I am great at perception.
Mm-hmm. You are great at perception, but they really don't want to be seen.
That's fair.
You do catch movement in the shadows. It could be wildlife. It could be a person. It could be the trees. You're not 100% certain. What you do know is that the sounds of footsteps that were leading this direction are gone. But what you do hear, though, is a faint moaning sound. Kind of like, do you remember when you were, I don't know, in your teens or a sibling was in their teens and when they're woken up and they don't want to be woken up? And they kind of give that groggy moan of like, oh, why are you there? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're hearing something similar to that. And that's coming from the hallway that goes toward the east and could go out back or to another pantry. But until you explore, you wouldn't know.
Okay, I'm going to get that water for the maid, and I will go like, oh, here, have a drink. And I will like make like an exaggerated look around the room. I'll be like, Oh, this is such an interesting kitchen, is I believe where we're. Ooh,
Hmm?
an interesting kitchen. Where does that hallway lead, ma'am,
Uh,
madame?
she kind of looks over to where you're pointing and says, that leads out back. That's where we hang the game that's not yet ready to be butchered, or deliveries are dropped off back there.
Oh, that's unsuspicious. I thought that is so. That is so interesting. I've never. Well, I don't really care. So. I'm like, oh, let's sit here and take a second to calm down. Let me see if I could find some ginger to help settle your emotions before those nice detectives come in to speak to you.
Oh, that would be very nice. Thank you.
And I
You can, if you're
100%
going to look for it, you can find ginger root without any trouble.
I definitely 100% pretend I'm looking for that ginger and walk down that hallway.
Fair enough. You will find that it goes, I don't know, 5-6 feet, but because it's windowless, you can't really. It's dark, so from the angles, you wouldn't be able to see where it goes. And then to the left, it's a sharp left, and there's a hall that leads to a door with a small window that's currently shuttered, and it is slightly ajar. Through the light that's trickling in, the ambient light trickling in through the door that's slightly ajar, you see a slumped figure in the middle of the hall.
Oh shit. And are they still moaning, or?
Yep.
I will just casually walk a little bit more forward. See if there's anyone else around before I make for this man.
No, there's really no place to hide. It's just dark because there's not a lot of light. There's not much to the hall. There's a bench by the back door for sitting on if you need to, change shoes or adjust something of that nature, and a small barrel that's set there that you think more is like a side table than actually being filled with anything. And then the man sprawled out. At this point, you can tell by the stature of the silhouette, the resonance of the voice, and that sort of thing, that it is a male.
And I will go up and I'll be like, Senor, are you okay?
Don't hit me again.
Why would you assume I would hit you?
And you see, like, he's kind of trying to, like, at this point, you're getting a little bit more at the distance that you're at, a little bit more definition. He's blinking his eyes like he's trying to focus. But he's still kind of, you can tell by the look on his face, he's still kind of confused and dazed, and uncertain of what's going on. Who are you?
Oh, I think the better question is, who are you, monsieur? You're sprawled out here, hit over the head, I assume.
My name is Ramon. I am the groundskeeper. The head groundskeeper, as a matter of fact.
And what is the groundskeeper doing here? Had a little bit too much champagne, or?
No. I was tending to the fowl and coming in to lock up for the night. And when I was waylaid by some brazen creature and thunked on the head.
And
he rubs like the side of his head. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like the back. He wasn't taken by surprise. He was probably clocked facing the person.
Did you recognize this person, Senor?
Yeah, no, slight build and soft voice. That's why I assumed it was you going to hit me again, but I must have been out for longer than just a few seconds. It felt like only a few seconds.
And did you walk yourself here, or is this where you fell?
No, this is where I fell, in this hall as I was trying to lock up.
Interesting. Was this person? I don't remember anything about Carolina. I begin to describe like her hair and the color of her hair and stuff like that. If that rings any bells.
No, I mean, he kind of looks around and gestures. He's still on the floor, mind you, like sitting, but he's on the floor and he's kind of gesturing. I had very little light to work with.
Oh, that's fair. So there are some detectives here that you might be some service to. Let me go get them, because I would be unable to help you up.
Okay.
Stay
And
safe.
you see him trying to get up on his own, and then he just kind of like slumps down a bit. Due to that kind of movement and listening to his voice more, you're pretty sure he is much older than you are. And even though he only got hit across the head, and to someone of a much more youthful vigor, they'd be able to rebound fairly quickly. He did not. So,
I mean, that's fair. I shall go and I'll grab that ginger that I saw, and I will give it to the maid, and I'm like, I will be right back. I need to go get those detectives.
yeah, thank you for your kindness.
It is no problem. It is not anything to mention. And I just walk out and I go towards the detectives.
Okay. As you're walking back toward the grand hall, you will be able to look into the dining room and see Carolina Morone still seated. She is fiddling with her skirt, trying to find some way to temporarily mend it, it looks like.
Sucks to suck. And I continue.
So at that point, as you're rejoining in the Great Hall and Jasser is headed that direction, we're going to head upstairs to the Contessa and Oberon Winters in the study. Last we saw you were taking note of missing items.
Yes. And do we hear anyone coming up the stairs at this moment?
Not at this moment.
Do we hear Enrique in the hall?
You hear Enrique actually further down. You're guessing probably on the stairs. Kind of crowd control, announcing a few things, and then upon what seems to be the arrival of new people, you'll hear him say, Senor Marquez, I'm glad you got here so quickly.
When she hears that, she's going to turn to Winters. It appears our more formal investigators are on their way. I know last time we said one of the things we identified that was missing was a ledger, and it was one of a series. Do we know? I know there was nothing on the binding, but based on the way the books fell, can we figure out where, where in the book order is it?
It is
the first
number 4 of 7.
Okay.
Or what you think is 7 based on the way the gap is.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll just, Contessa, if you would like to help me, and I'll pick the two books, the two ledgers on each side of the missing one, or at least on each side of the whole. Can you tell me the last entry in this one? I'll check the first entry in this one. We'll know which, time period is actually the most important for whoever stole it.
Yes, that works.
Okay.
So what would be the first, not necessarily the content of it, because I'm reading through it very fast, but I want to see so if it's a ledger, there should be entries, hopefully dated entries.
Have you ever seen a bookie's ledger?
Oh boy. In a movie?
Yeah. So it's that sort of thing. It is shorthand. There are phrases that seem nonsensical. And so things like, so the bluebird wants 4 hens and 7 buckets of water. And it's just a list of then numbers and 3 or 4 letter combinations. You think that they're acronyms of some sort, because just the penmanship. From what you remember of your own studies, a lot of the note taking that needed to be done, you had to do quickly. And in order to do that, you had to develop your own system of shorthand to remember longer phrases or longer terms, but write them down with haste, since the professors spoke faster than anyone could humanly write. So that would be your best guess. They're either clippings, where it'd be a capital and 2 lowercase and then a capital again, or a series of capital letters. That kind of thing is what clues you in that it's some sort of acronym or shorthand. But it really doesn't make a lot of sense right now in this moment as you're scanning it. And the consensus is the same thing, but there is no sequence that's discernible at this moment. With further study and looking at the whole of them together to find the patterns, you both would be confident for different reasons that you could figure out at least the main meaning of most of it.
She's going to pull a little notebook out of her reticule and write down verbatim everything on the last 2 pages of the ledger she has, quickly.
Okay.
Do you want me to provide a distraction for, give you some more time?
It should be fine. All I need is this, and
I'll keep by the door and keep watch, just in case.
Everything's going to go back exactly the way it was. And she goes and purposely fusses with her hair and kind of makes it look a little looser and pulls out like little curl ringlets so that her very dark brown hair looks a little bit more striking, and she adjusts the way her bodice sits and then cracks her neck. Don't worry, Lord Oberon, I'm very familiar with who might be coming up those stairs.
I think I blush a bit. Oh. Well,
Not that familiar necessarily, but wouldn't be the end of the world.
well then after you, Lady Contessa.
Oh, si, signore. Actually, why don't you provide me a very kind escort and then I can introduce? Well, no, we should wait until he comes in. That'll be better.
I think we should not linger in this room here, though.
Enrique saw us both in here, and his kind uncle is coming up those stairs. Don Fernando. Or, excuse me. Signor Ferdinand. Si. He's in charge of the police in the city.
Oh, I see. Well then.
Never
All right.
pays to lie to a policeman.
And then if we're going to stay in the room, I think I'll sweep the room once more to make sure we haven't missed any details that that might be relevant to who or why someone killed. Who killed Marcos de Salinas or why he was killed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, why don't you start by recounting what you know so far about the room, and I will fill in the gaps of what you still have yet to discover.
All right. So far we know there's some sort of cabinet of curiosities that is along one of the walls. There's a desk with 3 chairs, 2 on the one side, 1 on the other. One of the chair was moved as if someone had banged into it. Marcos de Salinas is slumped over his desk in one of the chairs. He was poisoned by cyanide, which we've seen traces of magic going from a tray and a bottle, 2 glasses, that were used, or at least, I don't know, enchanted maybe? Anyway, used in a spell of some kind, and brought to de Salinas and potentially the other person. Another person which we know was a fairly lithe, masculine figure with broad shoulders. And was there anything else? Well, a missing ledger. And I think there were trinkets missing from the cabinet as well.
There was one trinket that was missing. It had a perfect circle of a base.
Yep.
But
and everything's
and a couple
pretty kitschy.
Kitschy, not schlock. And there was something that was magical on
cabinet.
the bookshelves in the cabinet, but it was latent, so it didn't go off on your spell.
Yes.
And we said that the Lord Marcos was moved after he was killed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The body position looked wrong, like he was moved from elsewhere. As you're looking around, do you want to play any cards? In other words, do you want to do a combined perception or some other skill? If you want to employ a different skill, you can do that.
Hold on a second. I want to have a quick.
Judging by the cards that I have, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I can.
Go ahead.
Remember, if it's a combined effort, you get both of your base scores added together, and then the lowest of the correct suit.
Yeah, I don't really have anything of the correct suit to play right now. But my base score for perception is a 6.
Okay.
So if we want to combine them, that would work, but then you just play your lowest diamond.
Yeah, lowest diamond, which, well, I have something pretty high. Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So that gives us a base 10 plus whatever you add.
4 average is 4?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have any diamonds.
I don't have any diamonds.
So let's go with this.
Okay. So that gives an 18. 18 is a good number. And it will reveal a number of things. So the first thing that you'll find where Senor de Salinas actually fell. You'll notice that it is over near the built-in cabinet where you notice the missing item. What you can tell is along the floor, along the carpet, near the base of the cabinet, you can see where whatever was left in his glass spilled out and kind of soaked up and trailed along that edge as it soaked into the carpet. And there's just a slight discoloration that catches your eye as you're looking around. So you're pretty sure that he fell over there, probably due to the poison from what you saw before, but he wasn't seated during this exchange, which means that the glasses must have also been moved and replaced on the tray.
Is there, by any chance, an opening wide enough for something to roll under the cabinet?
No.
Okay.
They're built in and flush.
Ah.
They're not freestanding furniture.
Okay.
Not a bad thought.
Is the carpet like a rug instead of a wall-to-wall carpet thing? You know, it's a carpet.
This is actually fully carpeted, this room is.
Oh, okay.
And as you're inspecting it further, you notice that there is a decent amount of give to the floor. You think that the carpeting has been padded. For what purpose? With that 18, maybe sound dampening?
If I look at the door, does the door look thicker than like a normal door would be?
Absolutely.
Ah,
So soundproof.
designed at least to muffle it.
Mm-hmm.
Do the windows open?
When you go to try the windows, they do not open.
Oh.
In
Lord
fact,
Marcos,
you can't even feel the air.
Lord Marcos is very interesting.
I'll say.
This is the most fun I've had in Barcelona yet. Oh, don't worry, Lord Oberon. No one thinks you killed him.
Well, if I can be exonerated by the policeman, then maybe I'll sleep a tad better at night. Right now, I would consider myself a suspect were I an agent of the peace.
It's possible.
But you know, Contessa, that I wouldn't be able to do such a thing.
I'm very aware of that. I'm also aware of the two gentlemen who ran down the hall and down the stairs at the same time we heard a scream and the door slam, so one went out the front, one went out the back.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman with a very large blade in a very inopportune place for her.
And yet, Lord de Salinas was not stabbed.
No. No, he was not.
So we know she didn't. At least not with the blade.
This is all very true. That does not in any way, shape, or form negate her ability to disappear from one end of a ballroom and reappear on a different set of stairs that were not the main stairs that you and I walked up.
No, but that I would have to ask the lodge, see if there are any magics capable of short-range transportation in an instant.
You will know much better about that than I, senor. I got as much out of that study as I needed to at school, and that was it.
Then if you'll excuse me, I will leave you and Senor Marquez to your reunion, no?
Yeah, well, Lord Oberon, do you really want to explain to Enrique when he walks back what you needed that 100 paces for? Because I certainly can't explain that one. That would look very inopportune. if you're not here when he comes back.
And I'll just slump against the wall and cross my arms and be like, right you are. Well, we shall say that it's I don't know, some sort of practical joke.
Or you can just tell him that you were concerned about some minor working of magic that you were performing in the other room that you were quite sure would have absolutely no effect on the poor gentleman's. But you might have disturbed some of the magic in this room.
You mean tell the truth?
Of course.
The thought hadn't crossed my mind yet.
Lord Winters. It's always better to tell the truth. The truth is what you make of it, no?
I suppose.
Now, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So is there a Lady Winters?
What? This is quite an opportune moment. There is a dead person in the room with us.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not hitting on you. At the moment.
No, there is no Lady Winters.
Well, that's important to know.
I do not know why. It has nothing to do with the death of Marcos de Salinas.
Because we're about to be discovered in a room together, you and I, are left alone for an extended period of time, and I am a poor widow.
Would you suggest I was rude enough to get you in a room by yourself so I could throw myself upon you?
No. You're not that type.
Thank you. And no, I am not.
And I would never say so. And now we know that there is no Lady Winters who would get offended by me being left in a room with you. But then again, one always has to embrace one's reputation.
You are very confusing, Contessa.
Thank you, I try to be.
And I'll just nod and hope really hard that Senor Marquez is coming.
Okay. Excellent. We're going to go back downstairs to the Grand Hall. While we leave the awkwardness between Oberon and Contessa and the Contessa to simmer for a bit. Isolina walks out from the east wing while Jacques is entering from the gallery on the west. And you will both note one another. For Isolina, it's a new face, one that you haven't seen yet this evening. And for Jacques, it's someone that you did notice before and were looking for. Also, as you're entering, you will notice one of the detectives speaking with Senor Marquez, and he seems to get a little incredulous. And he storms toward the east wing, right past Isolina. Very purposeful walk, not an angry storming off. Maybe storms is too, I don't know, abrupt of a term. Think of it more as a purposeful jaunt. And he quickly makes his way into the dining room, shutting both of the doors behind him.
You'll just see just like a okay. And I'll look for just the closest detective or police officer I can find.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, Senor, I have found Ramon the groundskeeper. He is hurt. Please, come.
Uh, okay. And he'll then close his notebook. He pauses like he wants to finish the last thing he just got from that person, but realizes
Already moving. Already.
Yeah. And so he closes his notebook and follows. Jasa, you will see both of these things. Which direction would you like to go?
I think Jasser would follow. Isolina seems to be one of the only other guests who's making rounds, and Jasser likes to make rounds with others.
Okay. So it won't be difficult for you to be right on their heels as you make your way into the east wing and toward the back of the house to where the kitchen is. You'll notice the butler's pantry on your way, as well as the butler and head maid's quarters are on this floor nearest the kitchen. And then the kitchen itself, where Isolina and the detective move past and to a back wall, or back hall, not wall, to find Ramon still trying to get up, but he's almost up. He's almost up to his feet by this time. But it is dark still.
I'm like, silly Ramon, I told you to stay seated. I was bringing someone. Senor, this is Ramon, the groundskeeper. Please help him.
And the detective will go over to him and hook an arm under his, right under his armpit, and just kind of lift him back up to his feet slowly. And kind of walk him back into the kitchen where there's light. The maid that you were speaking with before sees the detective escorting Ramon in and quickly offers the stool to the older man. And now in the light, you can definitely tell he is quite a bit older. And I wouldn't say frail, but definitely getting there. And he takes a seat on the stool, and then the detective turns back to you and says, "So, pulling out his notebook again, says, so how did you find him?"
I was looking for some ginger and I got turned around, but I heard moaning, and not of the good kind. And I go over, and it was so very dark, but I could not believe this moaning, not after what happened to the poor, oh fuck, I already forgot his name. The poor dude who died. I don't remember his name, but you dude, let's just assume I just said it.
Okay. Marcos de Salinas.
Marcos, after what happened, the poor Marcos, I could not leave that be. So I went and I found this poor man on the ground, thinking that I was going to hurt him.
Why would he think that?
That's a very good question. I asked him the same thing. Poor man was hit over the head by somebody who sounded, I guess, like me. I do not know. I do not know much about head injuries.
Okay, then.
I think when there's like a lull in the conversation, Jasser will say, "It seems like there was a lot of action during this party, more than what was going on upstairs."
And the detective will nod. A lot to figure out. A lot of people.
Jasser will cant their head and say, "Mademoiselle, je m'appelle Jasser Firich-Goshen. Aren't you Mademoiselle Montiel?"
Yes, Senorita Montiel, absolutely. It is nice to know you, Jasser.
Pardon, Senorita. The arts, they'll get to me.
It's okay, Mademoiselle is my mother.
Fair enough. You seem to know quite a bit about what is going on at this party. Do you mind if I join you?
Oh, absolutely. It would be a pleasure, Senor Jasser. remember it.
You're fine.
And I'll turn to the detective and I'll say, also, senor, this is the maid who went through the absolute traumatic experience of finding Senor Salinas.
Oh. Oh, well, thank you so much for bringing me back here then. We didn't quite know where she had gotten off to. I will talk more with these two then, and he'll turn, assuming that this was your indication that he could turn his attention away from you. You note that he is trying to give deference due to your family's title. And at that point, he will turn his back to you and start talking to both of them. Actually, starting with the old man as he's inspecting the old man's head, and then saying, "Oh, that's actually that's quite the laceration." You say it was a person of slight build, and the old man goes, "Well, I mean, I'm not as big as I once was, but they were slightly smaller than I. Younger for sure, and they just swiftly out of nowhere hit me. I was on the floor when this young lady found me."
And pardon if I may ask, were they running away from the kitchen or towards the gallery?
I was coming in from the back, and they were going the other direction, I assume. The only other direction to go is either back into the house or out the door. I don't imagine they'd have to hit me if they were going to turn around and leave.
So you think they went back into the party?
No, I'd imagine that they'd go outside.
Oh. Okay, that makes more sense.
But everything went black after they hit me. And it was dark back there. I didn't get a very good look. Their voice was soft, though.
What does the injury on his head look like? Like, does it look like made like from a large blunt item or something a little more purposeful?
How closely do you want to look? Like all, diagnosis murder?
I definitely will see, like, when the detective points it out and he starts addressing Jose, points out like, "Oh man, that's a really bad head wound you have there. Very big laceration." And then Jose starts talking to him. I'll be like, "Oh no, senor," and like I start like looking at it and just like being overly concerned.
If you're going to get that close, and I won't, you wouldn't need to play a card, but if you're going to stay back and kind of get an angle at it with the hair and everything, it might not be as easy to see. But if you're actually going to get that close and move the hair aside, then you'll notice it is a fairly large, blunt head trauma, and you're pretty certain it had a circular edge. It was flat and round.
And round. Interesting.
So like the base of a small statuette or a candelabra, that kind of thing. But its width was pretty good size. Like its diameter would have had to be pretty good size.
I'll be like, "Oh no, we're gonna have to. Did you bring doctors with you, detective?"
No. They said that there was no one in need of medical attention, for the victim was already dead. We didn't know that there was anyone here. We'll get medical attention to him as soon as possible.
Oh, that is good to hear, Detective. Thank you so much for your hard work.
Yes, of course. He'll then turn to the maid and start to get her to recount her story, which is fairly similar to what you all heard from her before, or I believe just Isolina, I think, was part of that, where she talks about how she went to clean up afterward because in between every meeting, Lord Marcos wants fresh glasses and the room to be cleaned up and everything to be just so before he brings back another business partner to speak with. And when she went to the study, the door was ajar as it normally is. If she is to clean it, she found him slumped in the chair.
That is very curious. Do you know the schedule of people who would be talking with him?
No. His schedule is his business. We don't get into his business. We simply help him be prepared.
That is a shame, but I understand people want their privacy.
Of course.
And I say, oh man, this house is starting to feel a little bit stuffy. Would you mind accompanying me, Giselle, to get some fresh air?
Absolutely, I agree.
And I lead us out towards the back of the house.
Okay.
You have a very quick mind, Senorita.
Thank you, Giselle. I like to think so. I did see shadows out here earlier.
Shadows.
Yes, as if something or someone was moving about. And after hearing about poor Ramon.
It happened all very quickly. So were there just people who are hiding, you think?
I just think that maybe we should keep an eye out as we take our walk around back here.
Jacer lifts the wine bottle and an extra glass that they've been carrying and says, "Would you care for a drink while we walk?"
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I will hold the glass out and let you pour it out for me.
I'll do so, and I think Jacer will leave the bottle at that point. And offer an arm.
And I will loop my arm through it.
It is a shame that this party went this way. These are lovely grounds.
It is a shame that Senor Salinas is now no longer with us. Though I guess that does mean this is now free real estate.
In all truth, I was not looking forward to the party. The invitation was a little suspect.
It's a bit poorly written, I would say, but I would agree. It was bound to be an interesting party, though.
There were so many people. I was expecting something a little bit more...
Private.
Yes, private.
No, it looks like Senor Salinas might have had some business for certain people.
Lots of business, it seems.
You know, a man who works himself to the ground. Or into it. And I'm definitely keeping an eye out on.
So we walk out to the grounds in the back. What does it look like as far as like the area?
So at the back of the house, you find a sprawling garden. It is well kept. Along the path that leads into the garden from the back, from that servant's entrance, would wind toward the outer edge and under some boughs of trees that frame this would be the east side of the garden quite beautifully. This would be where Isolina noticed some of the shadows. Also, that direction is where you note the gravel drive that backs up there for deliveries. So it's a little wider at that spot for turning carts around. But so that's immediately to your right as you're exiting. So to the east as you're exiting. And then in front of you, and that pathway kind of wanders around the edge. As you gaze across the gardens, you'll notice topiaries and hedges. There's a hedge maze in the center from the angle that you're at, because the garden is a little bit sunken. It comes down a bit from the path that you're on. You can see into the hedge maze, and there is a beautiful set of statues and large fountain in the center of it. The moon is high at this point, and it is full, and it is giving you a good amount of light in the main part of it. Under the tree boughs, though, you notice that the two of you are heavily cloaked in shadow.
It seems it would be easy for anyone to hide.
Indeed, especially at this time of the night.
Was that poor man's wound bloody?
Was that poor man's wound bloody?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it's very much so. And oddly round.
Do you want to see if we can find maybe a trail?
Oh, I like the way you think, Jesser. And I would like to try and find a trail.
Okay. So, do you guys want to use a combined check?
Absolutely, because I have 0 diamonds.
Okay.
Sure.
You'll add both your bases. I don't remember. I think Isolina, yours is great, and Jasser, I believe yours is good.
Yes.
So that's a base 14 that you're working with, plus your lowest diamond that you have.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 13. Aces are not ones; they're big. So out here, now that Isolina's had a chance to see things a little more clearly than before, and just because it's supposed to be contested, I'll throw a card out there, but I don't have a good one to disguise anything, so it won't stop the investigative prowess of the two of you. You'll see things from a new angle and in a new light, and you'll find in different spots footprints in the mud as you're walking along. They're different than any other footprints that you've seen because you can tell that they are sprinting. The gait is much longer, and they are definitely heel strikers, so heel to toe, deep heel, and then barely touching on the toe, well, on the ball, and then pushing off with the toe in those spots. Kind of, upon closer inspection, gives away that these are not only fresh, but someone was running. You'll also catch the faintest glint, bit of shimmer, as the light trickles in between some of the canopy, and you notice a small red stone.
Oh, well, isn't this interesting? And I will absolutely, get the glove out there. I will pick it up and look at it. And is it ruby red?
It is ruby red. It is maybe a quarter carat in size, if we're talking diamond sizes, because I don't know what rubies are measured in. I think they're measured in millimeters across. Um,
And is it a brooch?
no, it's just the stone. Like
It's just
it had fallen out of the setting.
Oh.
So like it is similar. Well, you could say it's similar because they were rubies that you saw, but there are multiples on this brooch. And it was almost as if one of them had fallen out. And so we're talking tiny in size. And you believe that if you weren't looking carefully, you could have easily missed it.
And these footprints, they are, well, if you said heel to toe, it wouldn't be somebody who's wearing heels.
Mm-mm.
So it'd have to be someone wearing regular shoes.
Actually, they're barefoot.
Oh.
Oh.
This
Oh,
per-
that's just so much more interesting.
This person wouldn't have gone very far and without shoes.
None. This ruby here, it reminds me of something I saw earlier today.
Oh, that is curious. Also, you are very prepared.
It is nothing. A lady must always have her gloves with her. You never know who you're going to meet.
Oh, that is fair. Lots of hand washing.
Exactly. And I will just throw that ruby in one of the many hidden pouches in the dress, because fuck dresses without pockets. It is my pocket, so I'm just gonna bloop that in there.
Anything else that you want to inspect? Do you want to try and follow the footsteps further?
Yeah, I think. Do we want to go, or do we want to get a gendarme, an investigator?
I mean, the footsteps are fresh.
We must go.
Yes, we must find out. There's their civil duty.
So you're going to follow the footsteps.
Yeah.
Okay. As you follow the path, you'll notice that that the footsteps follow it for a good while, and then they cut through a break in the trees out into a neighboring field. And in the field, there's nothing really of note because it's far too early in the planting season to have any major disturbances of crop or anything of that nature. So it's tilled ground. But if with your exceptional check or success, you will notice that something heavy and oblong had been resting on this tilled ground. And as you look about, you will notice a dark silhouette moving across the dark sky. And you catch glimmers of moonlight cast across it. Seems to be painted black or naturally black in its coloration. But what really clued you in was the stars that would disappear and then reappear. But it is off in the distance a bit.
Oh, that is very interesting.
Do either of you have invention or tinkering or, well, actually, why am I asking? Iselina, because of your parents, you would know that this is some form of dirigible.
Gesundheit?
Zeppelin.
Oh, okay.
Airship.
Airship.
An airship. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh,
based on the scale of the oblong pattern in the field and what you're seeing just when you saw them running, the freshness of the footsteps and everything, you're guessing this is some sort of personal transport, smaller and smaller than what you're used to seeing. Most people that invest this level of capital into an airship of sorts, they want it to be larger, to either carry passengers or goods for either business or war.
Do you see what I see, Giselle?
I see something. Do you know what it is?
It looks to be like a small, personal-sized flying zeppelin.
C'est magnifique. I've only seen the large ones. But would that mean that the person who had done this thing is there?
I think it is
That is-
likely. It is incriminating, if nothing else.
It's not looking good for us finding them then.
No, but it does give us something to tell the detectives.
Those are very expensive.
They are very expensive. Most people do not spend that money on something so little. The money is much more worth in a larger zeppelin to move things and people.
Mm.
Getting your French stuck in my Spanish.
It's like chocolate and peanut butter. It's fine.
I think we saw something interesting. We found something interesting on our walk.
Perhaps we go back and we speak with Senor Marquez.
Yes, and tell him of this odd plane we saw.
Before we enter, let me ask you a question. I've only been with you for a few moments, but I trust your opinion.
Yes.
What do you think of Mr. Marquez? You've lived in Barcelona for a while.
What do I think of Mr. Marquez?
The Marquez family is well respected. Your family has no issues with him or with the investigation and surveillance agency that he heads up. Actually, your family and the BISA are the only two people that are trusted by the dwarfhold that's nearby, which to your parents speaks very well of Senor Marquez.
And I personally know nothing of interest of Senor Marquez.
Personally, you know that he is generous, that he is usually a very happy individual, and is normally much more polite than you saw him earlier. So the fact that he blew right past you would have given you the expression you gave, like on camera, because it would have been like, "What was that?" Because that was totally out of character as far as you know of Senor Marquez.
And was it Enrique who was here? That was part of that family?
Enrique, yes, his nephew Enrique. You know him better than Senor Marquez because of ages. He's closer in age. He travels in similar circles. And of all the people that travel in your circles, he is one of the few that has not tested the waters to try and actively court you. Not like he's shunned you, but he's kind of been like he's taken whatever hints you've given and just let it be.
I love the Marquez family. No, Senor Marquez is very, very respected. My family thinks very highly of him. And I've never had any issue. In fact, he's a very happy person. I've never seen him as upset as he is now, though I've never seen him work. So But aside from that, I would trust him, yes.
That is good to know. I've been spending a bit of time with him, and he has been a little bit different tonight.
Yes, it is.
Well, even more so than here at the other party. He was very insistent on introducing me to everyone. Very markedly so. But if you trust him, I will do the same.
Well, I think trust is a very interesting word. I
If
think,
he
many
has a
things,
good reputation.
he has a good reputation. I would believe him in many situations. But like I said, I've never seen him work, and I do not know him personally. Just, as one knows one who runs in the same circles.
That is fair.
But I would be interested. His nephew Enrique was at the party, so I'm very interested as to what is happening here tonight. Let us just put it that way. But I do believe we should at least let the detectives know what we see.
Let us
Okay.
go back then.
So as you return to the house, I'm just going to kind of give this to everyone because everybody seems to go silent as an argument seems to erupt in the dining room. So the sounds of it kind of echo throughout the building a little bit, and everybody's a little thrown off by this. And as Jessa and Isolina make their way back toward the Grand Hall, you will see Senor Marquez escorting Carolina out. And we will take our break at this moment. Stick around. We'll be back in 5 to 8 minutes to continue on with our drama for the evening. Thank you so much for being here, and we hope to see you here in just a few minutes.
And we're back, everyone. Kitten, you go on the floor.
Welcome back. We're glad that you stayed with us, and we are now ready for the second half of tonight's episode. Just before break, Senor Marquez stormed out of the dining room. This time, stormed is not too strong of a term.
I thought it was your
With Carolina in tow, escorting her to the front door.
In that same purposeful walk?
Oh, no, this is storming.
Oh, this is okay.
This is actual storming. He's not happy.
I'll get out of the room as I hear that. Is the other Senor Marquez somewhere upstairs still?
No, he's down in the Grand Hall. Now he's watching his uncle, but was down in the Grand Hall taking statements.
All right. I think I'll just rush to him and ask him, Senor Marquez, what is the meaning of all this commotion?
Well, I'm not 100% sure. Do you know that woman?
I'm afraid not.
Seems my uncle knows her.
As in, know her personally?
I have no idea. I would not dare to venture a guess at this point, though. I've never seen him so disgruntled.
Well, that is all.
Okay.
And I think I'll just slink back into the crowd, and now that I'm downstairs, avoid attention as most as possible.
I think at that point, the Contessa would come out and just kind of possibly overhear your conversation with Enrique and wait for Lord Marquez to come back in, but kind of slowly make her way down the stairs, but still making sure that she's slow enough that he can see her when he comes back and that she's not all the way down to the bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
And is this a moment when, like, Jasse and Iselina has made it back into the crowd?
Yeah, you would have been, I don't know, 6 or 7 steps behind Senor Marquez as he makes his way to the front door.
Okay. Before he makes it to the front door, I think I get into the middle of the crowd and I pronounce, Senor Marquez, you must hear, Senorita Montiel has found a clue.
You'll see him stop near the front door. He'll turn to one of the detectives and he'll say, "Get her gone." And then turn his attention to you. And he shakes off his demeanor, almost literally, and smiles and says, "A clue, you say?"
Mais oui, it is a clue.
Well, pray tell.
Senor, it is nice to see you once more. We were on a walk just the other night. It's awfully stuffy in this house, especially after everything. Oof. Senore Jaser assisted me outside, and we came across a very weird clearing. Well, the clearing wasn't weird, but what was is that there was something in the sky blacking out the stars, and upon closer inspection, there was a personal zeppelin. I do not know if you are familiar.
Yes.
And it turned out when we looked down, there was an indent on the ground that looked very much like that zeppelin.
And you came from, and he'll point toward the east wing, that direction?
Yes, the outside. We were near the garden. Very beautiful garden.
He will snap his fingers and point, and one of the detectives peels off and heads that direction. um, to hopefully find, based on what you had said, the spot. That is very interesting and very important information. I have always known your family to be keen. And then, of course, Jase, I really appreciate his observations. He, too, has a sharp mind. I was fortunate the two of you chose to get some fresh air at this time of night. I can understand with all of the hubbub that's going on. Is there any other details that you might have?
The person who ran away, they were not wearing shoes.
So where to see a barefoot track of a foot barefoot? There's no other way for me to see that. A track that of someone who was barefoot outside in the mud. Who could imagine?
Especially in an evening such as this, with this fine company.
And you tracked these footprints. Was there anything else odd about them?
Yes, I mean, as bear is the weirdest thing, honestly. In mud, nonetheless. Oof. That is all we saw on our
Okay.
walk.
Fair enough. I will have a further look. It is strange that they would be barefoot this time of night, but
If they were running away, do you think there might be some shoes here? That
it is possible.
But that is an interesting point. Pardon, Senorita, would you care to search with me to find some shoes?
Oh, absolutely. We
And
should get some more champagne before we go, though.
maybe my glass is empty.
And from the stairs, the Contessa would notice this, as well as from the crowd, Oberon Winters would notice this. Do you have anything to add to our little conversation?
Has Lord Marquez noticed the Contessa as she comes down the stairs?
He
As
would
she
have.
saunters down the stairs.
He would have definitely taken note. He seems to be fairly observant of all that's around him, though he is actively trying to give his attention currently to Isolina. So it would not have lingered in any way. Maybe eye contact, just noting who you are and where you're headed.
And then she, in that case, she will come up to them and kind of reach through and link her arm with Isolina and say, "Darling, are you all right? There's so much going on tonight."
Oh, I know, Contessa. I had just said, this is just said, I have just met him tonight. He has allowed me their company as we walked out into the night air and get out of this stuffy old house.
Maybe. And Jase will bow and incline their head and say, "It is nice to meet you, Contessa."
Oh, my apologies. Contessa Lucrezia Sofia Fioravanti.
Contessa Ferranti. May I call you Mademoiselle?
Oh, that's so sweet. My late husband ensures that that's not true.
It may not
And
be
she'll wink at
true,
you.
but it may fit.
I will take it. I appreciate it. Don Fernando.
Contessa?
You were holding out on me. You did not tell me that Enrique was such a good dancer.
I didn't know. I haven't danced with him since he was a wee boy.
He's not bad. He might work his way up to your level eventually.
Ah.
But
You give me more credit than I am due. But I will take it. At my age, you cannot turn down a good compliment from a lovely lady.
there are certain things that are very interesting upstairs.
Yes, the body.
And a room and some missing things off a shelf.
I am intrigued. Enrique! And he'll start walking towards the stairs.
Have a good night.
Do you follow? Do you let him go?
She's gonna let him go, and she's gonna turn to Iselina and say, I found the most charming gentleman I need to introduce you to.
Oh, well, do tell.
Yes. I apologize. Jaser?
Maybe.
What is... Well, this is a conundrum. I do not know. What is the appropriate title in Spanish or French?
I've been looking it up. So far, all I've seen, because I did watch a video on this ages ago. It just hasn't come up in a very long time. You always add an E in Spanish, like, you know, señor, the O, señora, the A, and señore with the E at the end instead of the A.
Okay. I can say that. No, because then it's signore in Italian, which is...
I know, which is why I'm now having issues, because I'm like, now what do I say?
Do your best.
Wait, you're looking for a title for them?
For
them, yeah.
For them.
You know what?
Monsieur.
You know what?
Yeah, monsieur.
Monsieur Jassar. You should come as well. I'm quite sure if you will quite enjoy this. He's an Englishman, but an entertaining one.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't get that little ridge in their nose when you make them uncomfortable.
Okay. It seems like that's just a thing to do, I suppose.
He had some most interesting abilities when we were upstairs looking around at things that we, happened to find.
Oh, curious things, you would say.
Very curious.
Just say, well, arch their eyebrow at abilities upstairs.
And she'll look at him and go, oh no, we didn't have time for that, don't worry.
Well, there was a body on the floor, so I imagine
the body's not on the floor,
not...
the body's in a chair.
Oh, well, in that case, plenty of spaces.
Oh, there are so many spaces, but no, he's an Englishman.
Little time, so many visitors.
So many visitors, so little time, and really, Englishman. He's very nice for an Englishman, but he's not ready for that yet.
There was a murder.
This is how people speak. This is what we do.
Everyone grieves in their own way.
Exactly.
And you would notice that the Contessa is in all black. Full black mourning, except for the very large, well, it looks like this except in diamonds, necklace that she's wearing. But she's not wearing a veil, and she is wearing gloves, but she's all black.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
He's standing right over there.
I followed Don Fernando upstairs.
We're standing in front of the stairs.
I know, but Oberon wanted to follow and go upstairs, and he'll bump into you on the way.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Up.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord Winters, I must introduce you to my friend. This is Iselina Atenas, Signorina Iselina Atenas Montiel, and Monsieur Jasser. This is Lord Oberon Winters. He has some interesting skills.
Well, Lord Oberon Winters, it is nice to meet you.
It is nice to meet you again.
Lord Winters.
Jasser.
I think... Are you going to tell Don Fernando? All the interesting things that you found.
Well, helping the police is, something one has to do, and I'm an honorable man, and thus would not withhold any information from, from the detective upstairs.
So that they wouldn't want us to. They wouldn't hold anything back either.
Of course not. Wouldn't want to keep us in the dark.
Never. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Contessa. Our new friend, Carolina, was ushered out very quickly by Senor Marquez.
Did she find somebody to help her fix that terrible tear in her dress? I'm so sorry about that.
No, but I did see her trying to mend it in the middle of the... Oh, where did we leave her? Dining room? The dining room?
It seems
She
that
wasn't-
there is more to the story.
It was so many people in the room and coming down the stairs, and Lord Oberon had come down the stairs and said that Lord Marcos was dead, and then Signorina Carolina was right in front of us, and I accidentally got pushed into her, and it was so bad and so sorry. I felt so bad about it, but I ripped her dress.
Mm.
An honest mistake.
Extremely, and it's not my fault she tried to carry a blade in her corset.
Oh,
It's only dangerous.
Entirely. And apparently she has so many pockets in that dress she doesn't need to carry a bag.
Exactly. And that poor woman lost her brooch earlier. I wonder if she's even noticed.
I know, we should maybe let her know. Did you find it for her?
No, but I did, and I'll go in for secret pocket. I did find this on a curious walk I had with José earlier.
Ooh. A curious walk in the gardens alone. I'm very impressed, Isolina.
Oh well, that is much about me. And we also found the most interesting thing in the sky. A personal zeppelin flying away from the location.
I do not like flying. On the ground, in the water, yes. No, thank you.
Did you... Oh, no,
Okay.
please, go ahead.
I did notice that you did not mention the ruby that you found to Senor Marquez. I assume that you have other information you are keeping.
Is, I would rather find the whole brooch before I throw out any crazy theories to the poor detective.
It makes sense. He has a lot going on.
Exactly. I
Oh,
mean,
busy.
poor Carolina.
But isn't that theft?
Finding something on the ground? I think not.
Especially if it is going to be used for good in a little while.
I wonder. Signore Winters.
Do it?
Signore Winters, can you use that small little, beautiful little stone that I'm quite sure possibly fell out of her brooch to help us find the rest of it?
So much like to return it to her after this night.
You're asking things, I don't think you understand, Lady Contessa, how magic works.
As I
Magic.
said. Indeed. As I said, Lord Oberon has very special skills, and as I told Lord Oberon earlier, upstairs, my understanding was limited to what I needed to learn in school. I was much better at languages and math and music.
I mean, I don't think I can. Not with what I know.
Now with what you know and have available to you.
No, but I could, if you wanted, make this... What is it, a ruby?
Mm-hmm. That's what it appears to be.
I could make it bigger.
I don't think we need it any bigger, but just
Interesting.
as a question.
Yes.
Idea.
Who was the owner of the original brooch?
Oh, that poor woman with the broken dress.
Oh
Mademoiselle
my.
Carolina.
She had a lot of things going on tonight as well.
Yes.
Yes.
In an interesting disappearing act.
And apparently Don Fernando knows her quite well, from what I saw from the stairs.
Would you mind showing me where you found that ruby, Lady Isolina?
Oh, absolutely. But first, we must get a bottle of champagne and some glasses for you two before we walk out in the moon.
I do have an
Certainly.
empty glass that is most problematic.
Now I'm craving champagne out of game.
I want it duly noted, I don't like champagne. Like, I really want a Prosecco, but I don't like champagne. Ooh. Mimosas. Mimosas.
Mimosas. Well, yeah, so Jasser will come with me. I was shown where the bottles are, and I believe there are a few more glasses. And Jasser will. We do not need to worry the house people. They have a lot of things to attend to at this moment.
They were capable.
Yes.
We'll meet you at the door.
Okay, sounds good to me.
And then I think the Contessa and Isolina head towards the door and wait for the two of you to come back with the
Glasses in the bottle.
Glasses in the bottle. I already have a glass.
Yeah,
I
but
did. Excuse me.
so one for the Contessa and one for Oberon.
I like to imagine we're doing all of this like holding just a wine glass in one hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's how I'm seeing it.
Yep.
walking around.
Hashtag the Ladies Detective Agency.
Bring the champagne.
Yep.
We will find anything you need. Pay us in champagne.
We'll bring the glasses.
Exactly.
Bring your own glass. And we head back. Is the detective still talking to the main?
No, actually, he is no longer there. You could deduce that he may have gone with the other detective who came running through when Senor Marquez snapped his fingers and told him to follow the lead that you gave them.
I like it. All right. And I'll tell the Contessa as we're walking by. I found the most curious poor man hit over the head in the hallway right down there.
Oh, well, that is where the other one went. I wonder, has anyone mentioned that Santi went out the front door?
As far as I know, no one has mentioned any carriages or anything. Although the groundskeeper did say the person who hit him over the head sounded a lot like very slighter of build. In fact, poor man thought that I was going to hit him over the head again. As if I did it the first time. Poor man.
That is very odd.
Yes, hit in the head. Oh, you should have seen the wound. It was very, very odd. Looked like somebody hit him with like a candle holder or a small statue.
Oh, it was round.
Yeah, secretly edged and round.
Like possibly something that was missing from a bookshelf upstairs, Signore?
I would definitely think that could be something to think about.
Well, this is so much fun. It's been so long since I've been to a party with a real murder.
Oh, who doesn't like a good murder mystery?
Lord Oberon looks very confused. I'm sorry, am I frightening you?
No, I thought we were still Oberon and Jesser getting the glasses because Oberon suddenly would have snapped and said, Jesser, I need to speak with Sir Marquez upstairs for just a quick second. I think we can know the identity of our killer.
Well, we must go at once. And Jacek will grab a bottle, grab the extra glasses, and go up with Oberon.
And
Okay.
Yep.
So you head upstairs. Upstairs in the study, you will find Enrique and Ferdinand looking over the scene. Ferdinand actually is wearing a pair of spectacles.
Excuse me, Sir Marcus. Sir.
He'll take them off before he turns and looks at you and puts them away, and then turns and smiles and says, yes, sir. How may I help you, senor?
I just had a question for you. Are guests allowed to leave the premises at the moment?
Not until we have taken your statement and know where to find you if we need to contact you.
Has any guests been allowed to leave?
He'll turn to Enrique and raise an eyebrow at him. To which Enrique shakes his head and says, No one's left yet.
Do you have in your possession the list of guests that were here tonight? Oh, where are my manners? I am Lord Oberon Winters. I was invited here tonight. I would be... it would be an honor to help in your investigation. It's just, I had this idea, I believe, that the perpetrators have already left the scene. If none of the other guests are allowed to leave, if the perpetrators were indeed other guests to Lord Desalinas, then perhaps perhaps we can identify them with the names on the list.
It seems
my
like
trusty cat familiar.
it would be a matter of deduction at that point. It may be a story like Cinderella where we find some shoes and we have them try them on.
He actually kind of gives a half chuckle at that and says, well, I have the register, and he will pull it out from his coat, unfold the piece of paper, hand it to Enrique and say, check and make sure everyone is here. You have Senor Winters here, and of course, Jacek, and yes. So don't count them as missing when you check off the list. Oh. I know, Uncle. I know. I can do this. And he heads out of the room and on his way.
And I'll tell Enrique that Jacek and I will be hanging out in the gardens outside with Lady Isolina and the Contessa.
Yeah. Okay.
Before we leave the room, Jacek has a good skill in mesmerism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Jacek would like to know a little bit more about the spat with Carolina. And so I think Jacek will turn up the charm a little bit around Senor Marquez and maybe ask, do you know, can you tell us what happened with Mademoiselle Carolina?
Go ahead and play a card.
So I'm going to play a 10 of hearts.
Oh, that's a good card. Set that right up here so our audience can see it. And what would I use for discretion? Because stealth is technically physical. So
maybe what is it? Social graces.
Yeah, social graces sounds good. Excellent. So that would be spades. What is your skill?
In mesmerism?
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Good. Okay. 16 is solid. but it will not get through at this stage as I play an ace. He that is a conversation for another time. Good, my good friend.
I was just worried because you were behaving in a way I have never seen you. You are normally quite genial.
It was a very unexpected surprise, and I'm not normally surprised. So that's all I'd like to say about it now. If you don't mind.
Jasser will cant their head, and of course, you have other things to worry about. Monsieur Quinters, let us go.
Yes. At once. Thank you, Mr. Marcus.
Yes. And you'll notice that he seems a little distracted at your pressing of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Do you still have 4 cards?
I just drew one.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. So you guys catch up with Iselin and the Contessa. Anything in particular that the 2 lady detectives would like to talk about while they're waiting for their gentlemen and their wine? Or champagne, as it were.
I do. As they're waiting out there, I don't even look at the Contessa really when I say it. I'm just like, how do you think he got all that information?
I know the fun way to do it, but I don't think he did it the fun way. I think he did it the old-fashioned way with lots of money. And knowing the right people. And bribing the right servants.
It's very true. The maid did say that they were all in... It was so difficult when the Salinas died and he was nowhere to be found. Yeah, they had to go everywhere and do all these odd jobs. A lot of interesting things that could have been done.
I won't ask. It's not my business. But I was intrigued by what was in the invitation and what was not.
I agree. It is like they knew some things but not others.
Which leads me to believe it was not as well. Not as well accessible as some people might believe.
I believe
And
so.
I'm leaning towards possibly servants.
They do see everything, and no one sees them.
And it's not like they know everything.
Exactly. They only know some things. There's something to keep in mind, though.
But I have heard that there are other ways that, well, maybe not our new friend Lord Winters, but some others could utilize to gain that information.
It is a very interesting thought. I wonder who it would be, however. Not many of Mr. Winter's type are around the area.
I can honestly say he's the first of his kind I have met. Formally.
I will not ask informally. It is something to keep in mind, though. I'm very interested. Like Mr. Salinas, he was a little... What is the word? Overzealous with what he did with the information he found.
I am intrigued, however. Now, one of the questions I was hoping to ask our dear friend Lord Marcos before he unfortunately passed. Are we sure this was Lord Marcos? Returned.
It is a very, very good question. He was gone for so long, even before his parents, oh, rest their souls, died.
And no one could find him after the funeral? For the funeral, even.
Never returned. In fact, I was certain he was dead, just like his parents. Just no one was able to come and tell the poor souls.
Well, so many interesting things.
So many things that could be done in the amount of time he was gone. All things I'm very curious to find out as we look around the estate.
I found a couple interesting things upstairs we can talk about later. It might take a little time to figure out what's going on. Apparently somebody decided to take one of Lord Marcos's notebooks. But I can't figure out which one yet. It'll take me some time.
Interesting. I did wonder who was going to do it. I didn't think Senor Marcos was going to stick around that long this time.
Not to speak ill of the dead. But his whole business plan was kind of guaranteed that this would happen.
Very much so. I mean,
Large-
what did you expect?
Multiple large parties with invitations only with the same sort of things. Really, it was only a matter of time.
Exactly. I just, whoever this was, Marcos or not, should really think about. I guess it's just a warning to the wise, not to be as forward with your information.
Yes, that's never the way to be.
About then, Jasser and Oberon reach the two of you, having a lovely conversation with a bottle and glasses.
Monsieur, you return.
Right on
Yes.
time.
Were you getting
Drinks.
thirsty?
Absolutely parched.
So thirsty.
And I hand the bottle over to Oberon. And would you do the honors?
Yes. And I'll pour 4 glasses. Mine
Well,
last.
Senor
This
Win-
is- Chintin.
Cheers.
So, I think that this calls now for. Oh, you're going to show us where you found the thing.
Yes, we have to take the walk. I have to show you. It's such a beautiful garden. Such a shame.
Oh yes.
So the four of you then walk the path under the boughs of trees. You notice there are some muddy spots, so you'll have to be careful. But you'll also notice that some of the muddy spots have already been marked off by the detectives as they are marking where the footprints are that Isolina and Jasa had found earlier. About halfway down the path before Isolina and Jasa know it, the fleeing person veers off into the field is where you find the spot where you found the ruby.
And no one else is around. It's just us four, right?
Right now you can hear the two detectives talking in the field, but they are not immediately near you. And it's indistinct enough that you know they're a distance away.
Yes, it was about here that I found that curious thing.
Would you mind handing it over to me for just a spell? Literally.
There you go.
I love watching him do this. It's
And basically what I want to do is it's going to be another sense magic. I want to see if this ruby might have belonged to one of the magical trinkets that were on the shelves in the Cabinet of Curiosities. I don't know if, like, because I'm basing sense magic off of sort of detect magic from D&D, right? Where a strong magical aura can, lessen into a faint aura over time. I don't know if that's the same thing in Castle Falkenstein.
Well, remind me which of the two books you got, or which of the three books you got this from?
It's a cantrip. So that
Was
would
that
be
in the
from...
Comme il faut?
It's the Comme il faut, yeah. It's on page 91.
I do. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Cantrips. I just want to reread what we have here. Sense magic. Okay. Magic that has been used within the last 24 hours. Yeah, okay. We don't have a separate deck up for your casting. Last time we pulled from your regular hand, but do you happen to have another set of cards?
Oh, can you give me 2 seconds?
Absolutely. While he's preparing his spell, what do the other three of you do?
Honestly, I'm excited to see this magic happen. I'm more of the mechanical side of things, so haven't really ever seen it happen.
And Jacera stands back and is like, okay, this is going to be something new and interesting and fantastic.
Okay.
And
But-
the Contessa is intrigued and watching everything, but she's also keeping an ear out for the two detectives that are walking about.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I could ask. So, Jacer, how did you meet the Senor Marquez?
Signor Marquez is the patron of my theater. I am performing at the Lycée.
Oh, I will have to definitely make it the point of going to see you at the
Well,
time.
as long as none of us are the murderers, I think I might have at least a couple of tickets I can offer.
So kind.
So very kind. It is odd I have not seen you as of yet, though I do not frequent the theater.
Or
Oh, you
quite.
you must come. It's always fun to go. And I've seen Giselle in a few performances. They're very good there.
Oh, thank you. Merci. The Senior Marquez has had me as a guest over at their home. He was quite keen on introducing me to many of the les gens, the people.
Well, if nothing else, it is good advertisement. Good, good networking.
Well noted, but I do like to meet people everywhere I play because it means that I get to return someday.
It's a very good outlook. Oberon, what are you doing? You have to explain this magic to me.
Well, right now I'm shuffling a deck of cards. I'm
What an interesting step.
Oberon is just spinning the ruby in the palm of his hand and muttering words in Latin under his breath. Basically asking the world to show him to reveal the not reveal the mask, but unveil the truth and to tear open the veil and show me if magic was used on this ruby or in the vicinity.
Okay.
So here's the deck.
Flip the top card. Tell me what it is.
Top card is a 4 of spade.
Okay. You are currently struggling to pull in the energy. There is a strong foundation of it. You can see it starting to coalesce. You start to see the 4 points, the 4 cardinal directions. There's pools of magic swirling, but you can't quite get it to form yet. Would you like to pull another card?
Yes, until I get the spell up and ready, but I will tell everyone this is taking slightly longer than what it did in the room upstairs. Just make sure I am not bothered while doing this. And I will flip. And the first card is a 9 of spade.
Okay. It starts to coalesce a little bit more. It's now shifting up from those 4 points into a central like sphere above them. The points of the swirling pools, they're like little pools now. And there's this swirling sphere rising above them that not only you can see. Anybody that has a sorcery of good or higher would see this. If you have average, you feel this tingling sensation start to dance across your skin, kind of like when you get a weird sensation and you get goosebumps. If you have a poor sorcery, you don't really notice much of anything. It's almost like you're shut off to it. Pull another card for me.
The ace of spade.
Ace of spades.
This is just giving me +1 each time, right?
Yes.
This is gonna take forever.
Mm.
You're at 11.
No, it's 1 each time, so I'm at 3.
You're going to start to feel
Plus your base, right?
this despondent feeling in the pit of your stomach start to well up, as though whoever it is that cast this magic they seem to be besting you in a way that you haven't felt since the last time that you were really humiliated.
Ooh. Like if it's warded?
On your so on the fortune deck, on your regular hand,
Yeah.
go ahead. Do you have any hearts?
I do.
I would play a heart to boost your courage to persevere, or you can end the spell.
I will play the ace of art.
Okay. You definitely boost your courage and can push past. What is your base courage?
Average.
Average. So that's a 17 then. So I just wait a second. Need to do some math in my head. Okay. Yeah, you do press on. But that feeling doesn't go away, even though you push through it and to save face. Pull another card for me.
All right. Just to make sure, I'll also
shuffle. Give it another shuffle. It's perfectly fine.
Because, what the hell, all the spades. All right, and the first card is the 7 of hearts.
And all of a sudden, the magic just clicks. And
Finally.
that swirling sphere that you were concentrating so hard on shifts, and it shifts into into a silhouette. Silhouette is of I would say, slightly a petite figure, very lithe, very twitchy, and then it shifts again into a taller, more masculine figure, but still slender, very slender with broad shoulders. And then it shifts again into a portly fellow, and then again into a much more feminine figure, tall and proud and purposeful in her posture. And then back again to that petite silhouette that you first saw. And in your mind, you get one word that pops up, and it is illusion. And there is a ferrous taste on your tongue, like you bit your lip maybe, and you're tasting blood, or you happen to I don't know, use an old nail as a toothpick, and you got a little like ferrous metallic taste. As you check your mouth with your tongue, you don't find any spots where you accidentally bit your cheek or your lip or your tongue.
I'll wash it away with a sip of champagne. Illusion was the word you told me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think illusion is the first word I will say once I come out of this trance. Illusion. There's something about an illusion. Have you seen it? Have any of you seen what I've... No?
No.
That is a shame. Well, you're Ruby. There you go, ma'am. Madam, this, I believe that whatever held the ruby was passed around from hand to hand between 4 people. I saw the silhouette of a petite figure, and then another of a lithe, broad-shouldered man, probably the one that I saw in the study, and then of a woman that held herself high and purposeful, which I would believe that it's Lady Madame Carolina.
Carolina Morones.
Morones that was escorted out earlier. And then another of a portly individual, which leads me to believe that it might be Bernard. And then back around to this petite figure.
But if you say illusion, signore, and instead of maybe passing it around, maybe it is one person looking like somebody else. And that is all of the forms that they have taken.
Have we seen Bernard and Carolina in the same room?
No, actually, you haven't.
What was the other one? There's a petite and a broad-shouldered man.
I can try.
Slender, lithe, taller gentleman with broad shoulders.
And which one was the twitchy one? The petite one?
Yes.
Would it not make sense, signore?
It could. It is just unfortunate. I could have spotted the illusion much earlier if I had known what to look for. Now that is my failing. I should have gone for illusion.
You did not cause the murder.
No, but if Carolina was the murderer, or Bernard, or whoever the person masquerading as 4 people is, then perhaps, just perhaps, we could have maybe not averted the murder, but caught the murderer right away. Now the murderer was driven away from the murder scene by our good friend, the detective fella.
I don't think that is entirely true. And she'd walk up to you and kind of like put her hand on your arm. Do you let her?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's entirely true, signore. This was well planned, well executed, well thought out. They had an escape route ready. They had the means to disguise themselves. They knew everything about that room that they were walking into. They knew everything about Lord Marcos. They knew most of the people that would be here. They were prepared. And they came and did exactly what they were prepared to do. And then they left. And you said, Isalina, that their footprints were bare?
Yes.
They left the shoes on purpose.
Or there never was any shoes.
No, they left the shoes on purpose. Because there are many, many things, Signore, that you can do in a dress like this. There are many, many things you can walk into. But one thing you cannot do, across a gravel drive to a waiting getaway car, is run in high heels.
This mud would eat them alive.
And
What is
wow,
the Contessa's education?
good.
And what is Isolina's education?
I believe mine is also good.
Okay. And what is the lowest diamond amongst the four of you?
Ooh.
I have a 3.
I don't have a diamond.
I have none.
I don't have any.
Jesse, are you Kenny, are you willing to play Jesse's 3 of diamonds for collective remembering?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. So we will add that, and that'll give us a 15 across what you're remembering. And each of you will remember different snippets. One thing that Jasser will remember is that Carolina, as she was being escorted out, was wearing knee-high boots with a short heel. But they definitely were not high heel shoes tucked under that dress. One thing that Oberon will remember is that when Santi had run up to try and meet with De Salinas when he announced himself to the party, that he was wearing a red rose brooch that you didn't remember him wearing the first time you spoke with him. The Contessa will remember when she was flustering Bernard at one point that he wasn't wearing anything of the sort, but when he returned red-nosed and upset, he too was wearing that brooch, which was the same time that Isolina saw Carolina across the room. And Isolina, you remember hearing 2 different things. You thought that it was just footsteps running out the back, but there was also a strange mechanical sound. You had dismissed it because of a variety of things that it could be, and you were really focused on people movements. But there was a weird, like, clunk sound, like gears had somehow shifted in an odd way and almost had skipped or could have broken a tooth but didn't. And then the other thing that you remember hearing, and you remember hearing it come from further away. It was muffled, so it had to have been somewhere where sound doesn't escape very well. But you also are pretty sure it came from beneath the ballroom. The other thing that you remember hearing was Santi, as he was running away, said something like, that couldn't have been. That wasn't me.
Portly gentleman that you described.
Yes. The one I assumed to be Bernard.
Yes. When I had my unfortunate tumble in the ballroom earlier, and Signore Bernard caught me, he wasn't wearing any brooch. But when he came back from his conversation with Lord Marcos, and his nose was a little bit red, he was wearing a brooch then.
Would it have been a red rose brooch by any chance?
It would indeed.
Because I remember Lord de Salinas wearing the same brooch when we saw him.
Ramirez. When he
Ramirez,
was running up
sorry.
to De Salinas.
Sorry, Ramirez. Santi
Santi?
was wearing one.
Was Santi wearing the brooch when I danced with him?
No.
I don't recall that when we were waltzing.
Maybe it was later in the evening.
No, because this is the same brooch Carolina was wearing when we saw her. And
First.
also, first, yeah, did that. And I do recall hearing Santi saying as he ran out, as you heard him, Contessa, that couldn't have been.
Yes. And Santi ran out the front door. And someone else of a similar size and shape ran out the back door. And struck our dear gardener.
Also heard, and thinking back to it now, a strange sound when everyone was moving around after the murder. A weird mechanical sound. I remember a very distinct clunk, clunk. And it had to have been very close, like almost beneath our feet in that ballroom.
Underneath the ballroom.
I mean, I've been to a certain parties where the ballroom itself, it was very expensive, and it was a very nice Duke in Vienna, and that was about the only nice thing about Vienna. The ballroom spun like a stage.
If there are mechanicals to the ballroom, they would definitely be underneath, maybe like a stage in the theater. Perhaps there is a basement.
Yeah, would explain how I saw Carolina on one side and then the other in such a
Yes.
short time frame.
Maybe we need some more wine. They could have a wonderful cellar that we need to visit. Pick our own vintage.
Exactly.
That
mean, the
is a marvelous
champagne's not-
idea.
The champagne's not bad, but what I really, really want is a very nice Montepulciano.
Oh,
Very
that sounds lovely tonight.
Nice red wine.
Just
Very useful for many things.
Just so we're clear, Jassar, you were saying this because not because you want us to get drunk together tonight, but because you want us to explore the cellar.
Oh, Oberon, we're really gonna have to work on this.
It could be both. I mean, I came here for dinner and a party, and well, at least we're getting a party.
Well, you seem, all of you fine folk, like a good company for, well,
Some wine in the cellar.
getting sauced. Yeah.
Oh, monsieur.
Sorry, I tried to find a synonym for drunk very, very quickly, and I could only think of sauced and shit face. And none are period appropriate.
Sauced is technically sauced would be technically period appropriate.
You get sauced. Oh,
But
well.
don't worry, signore. We won't get sauced, as you say. Merely comfortable.
I'm okay with comfortable.
A little bit more warm.
Exactly. A little bit more homely.
So, why don't we make our way into, see if we can find that basement. And she'll link her arm through Oberon's because she's still standing next to him.
All right, let us go.
My eyes go wide.
And I'll do the same with Josea.
Yeah.
Though I'm assuming you'll catch on way faster, and it'll be very mutual.
Oh yes, no, it'll be almost like we're both doing it at the same time.
And she just kind of looks at him. You are going to escort me to this party, right, signore?
Why, yes, of course.
And she'll, like, glance over her shoulder at Isolina and wink.
Oh, and I'll have a giggle in game also. And off we go.
You're
Oh, you're
muted.
muted.
Chris.
You make your way back inside and get to the kitchen to find that Carolina Morones is back. She's wearing quite the interesting outfit. The boots that Jasser had noticed before are definitely on display. She's wearing tight-fitting trousers and looks more like pirate garb than anything else. And she's standing next to the old man, Ramon, and there is a large as in tall, but very gaunt-looking fellow in a dark brown robe, like a monk's robe, a huge steel cross hanging on his chest, leaning over and looking at the gentleman's head. And as you come in from the outside, Marquez storms into the kitchen from the hall and says, "What are you doing back here?" And she turns and says, "I heard you needed a physician, so I brought one." And that's where we're going to end for the evening.
I'm very
boy.
excited. I like Carolina a lot. I hope she's not a bad guy. I mean, I hope we at least talk to her more.
So I want to thank our audience, and let's go around and Simon, take it away. It's your channel. Let's do our
Sure,
outro.
let's outro everyone. And we'll begin with, I'll do the same order than we introduced ourselves. So we'll begin with Jasser.
Yes, hi, I am Kenny. You can find me on Twitter at PunderDrone. I produce a podcast with Experience Points. You can find them also on Twitter at EQ Points.
All right, and thanks for coming. Thanks for playing with us.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I can't wait to see more of Jasser as we keep on playing. Contessa, how are you? And where can we find you?
Oh, I'm having so much fun with this. I love the Lady Detectives Agency. And I love Jasser adding into it and just we're going to make that Englishman's not so stuffy in the But as for me, you can find me on Twitter at DearJadonlin, or in the Twitch chat as Proxagorth Esmiophoria. And you will find me tomorrow as we return back here to drive some fine folk mad with some Go West. And apparently somebody's missing. We'll have to find out about that. And then Sunday for the wonderful Shattered Eye with the Shattered Fam, and some fallout from that will happen. Monday over on Role Players, and then Tuesday back here. I spend a lot of time here. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. You should spend more time here.
Thank you. And Isolina, who are you? Where can we find you?
Hi, I'm PB from PB Plays Inside. You can find me over on pretty much every social media as PB Plays Inside, though I'm mostly active on Twitter. And I stream over on Twitch at PB Plays Inside on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, playing a bunch of different games. Right now, right now we're going through Borderlands 2 with my good friend Leon. So It's been a lot of fun, and I do some random streams here and there. I might be inspired to stream this weekend. Who knows? We'll see if I have time. But yeah, that's what I do.
All right, and I'll skip over myself and I'll get back to me later anyway. You know who I am. Um, but our host, thank you so much for hosting. Chris, who are you? Where can we find you?
My name's Chris Geary. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Geary. You can also find me, of course, every Friday night here on Wandering DM's channel as the host of Adventures in Castle Falkenstein, but also on Sundays over on Soul Bear RPG's channel in the Shattered Eye, along with Deirdre, as we go through and Simon, all three of us are there as we go through a sword and sorcery style D&D game where currently there is lots of family drama.
And I am Simon, Wandering DM. Hi everyone, this is my channel. Thanks for hanging out in chat. Thanks for watching. Thanks for playing. Thanks for hosting. I will see you tomorrow for some Pulp Cthulhu at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then, like Chris and Deirdre said, on Sunday I'll be over at Shattered Eye on Soul Bear RPG's channel for some Shattered Eye D&D. And then you can find us back here on Monday for some not here on roleplayers.tv for some Age of Arcana, my homebrewed 5th edition campaign setting. And then back here Tuesday for Dark Matter. And then back here Thursday for some D&D. And then next Friday for some Castle Falkenstein, etc., etc. So before we leave, let's go raid someone. Spread the love to Twitch decided to not work anymore. This is great. Let me just check who is free. And we have our friends over at Off the Table that we can go raid. So I think we'll just do that and spread the love to them. They are awesome folks. And I've been on their channel a lot. I've started streaming with them actually, and they are very, very inclusive and welcoming community. So let's just say hi, go say hi to them, and we will see you again next Friday for some more Castle Falkenstein. Bye bye everyone.